Hey, team. Happy Wednesday evening, Asia stream. How's it going, chat? Hello, hello. As you guys are coming in, hit that like button. Alright, so like I posted about in Discord, I got on a little bit early. The volume usually doesn't pick up until later anyway, although we did have NVIDIA earnings after the market closed, so we got lots of movement on NQ. But normally in between the hour that the market is closed, I like redo all my markups for the next day or the next session. Today I didn't do any of that. So the reason being, I always have people ask, like, how do you move your levels? How do you do it? So you guys get to watch me do it. So I always leave my previous week value areas, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete all the previous day stuff. So point of control, previous day low, value areas, all that. So I'm kind of starting from scratch. And then the first thing I will do, I'll also delete my trades because I've already journaled those. So I start from the higher time frame. The gray areas, if you guys have watched my videos, those are the high volume nodes from the visible range volume profile. So all I do, I spend time over the weekend getting these set up. And then during the week, I kind of just double check them to see if anything has shifted, but they don't usually move that much because I'm on the hourly time frame. So like this is a pretty big high volume node right here at 29,300-ish, so that's not moving. Yep, pretty good on those. So I'll take that off. And then look for any of those supply demand levels while I'm still on this hourly time frame. So here I'm looking for big aggressive like engulfing candles where it may have exploded off of a level and there might still be some orders left in that zone. So like this one, for example, that was a pretty aggressive buy up right there, and there was a little bit of consolidation to the left beforehand. So that's a pretty good level, but it's already marked off by that visible range volume profile, so I don't need to do that again. I already have this one that I've marked off, so that's a possible rejection area up here at like 29,450-ish, which we've almost come into that a couple times. So if we have some bullish continuation, that could be a good long target. All right, so now I'm gonna go to the daily time frame, mark off my yesterday's previous day high and low. So I have my favorites toolbar down here. I save all the stuff that I use on a daily basis. So the horizontal ray, put a line at the top, and then I have templates saved. So previous day high, that way it labels it. Do the same thing at the bottom of that candle, previous day low. And then the last thing I do is go to the 1 minute chart, and I take my fixed range volume profile for the previous days or previous session New York trading hours. So the fixed range volume profile tool right here. Start it at 9:30 Eastern. Go to 359, and that gives me my value areas. So I mark off these with my horizontal ray tool so that I can actually delete that actual volume profile and get it out of the way. So the top of that white zone is value area high, bottom of the white zone, value area low. And then that middle yellow line is my point of control. Cool, so then I delete that. All right, so now what I do, like in Discord, I always post these levels, and if there's something that shows up that I'm like, oh, that's a level I want to pay attention to, then I'll share that with you guys. But the way I do that basically is, one, I look at the previous session volume profile. So if we're like hanging out way down here by previous day low, or like below value area low, below VWAP, and we're kind of making lower lows, then I might have a bearish bias and I might be looking for the next level down. Like let's say I have a bearish bias, then I could say the next target down would be 2933-ish, because there's confluence down here. That's a high volume node, plus the weekly VWAP is in that area. Same thing if we're looking bullish, maybe we're above VWAP and we're above point of control or above some of these resistance or support areas, then I would look for targets up above. So that's basically how I look at it. Also find things that kind of overlap. Like you can see here, this high volume node with this gray zone, point of control from yesterday or previous session, previous week's point of control. So if we happen to get into a long, this area up here, quite a bit of resistance at 29,300. So kind of look for things to overlap. All right, so that is NQ. I'm going to do the same thing on gold. So I know this is not typical. Usually I come straight into the session and I'm like, all right, let's trade. But I got on early on purpose since it's slow right now, to have you guys see me do this. If you have any questions as I'm going through it too, let me know. All right, so gold, remove yesterday's levels. So this green zone that I marked off, I marked it off, when was this? Like a month ago? It's a level from March, I think. But that held pretty good yesterday. I actually took a couple longs out of this area last night or early this morning, whenever that was. So I'm going to keep this here because it's still a decent support zone, and it could come a little bit lower and still hold the bottom of this zone. So I'll leave that. I do have an anchored VWAP from this swing low, and I like that it's actually lining up with yesterday's daily VWAP close. So if we get a pullback, this general area right here at like 4,500 is a decent zone. Let me draw off our daily high and low real quick first. Is it the levels from yesterday's Asia or today's New York? The volume profile that I just marked off, that was from yesterday, this previous New York, so just the one a couple hours ago. So the ones that I marked off on NQ just a second ago, that was from the Wednesday morning session for New York from 9:30 to 3:59. All right, let's zoom out, see if we have any other bounce or reject zones. Let me zoom out to the volume profile. Visible range volume profile is a little bit different on gold right now. On NQ, we don't have to zoom out very far because we're right up near all-time highs. But on gold, I do zoom out further. So this is kind of what it looks like when I mark off my nodes. So we can get a couple lower down here. I usually only have one or two above and below price. So we're sitting right at this one right here. So I know it's kind of hard to see when it's all jumbled up, but this, where my cursor is, this is where price is sitting right now. So if I zoom in a little bit, we can watch and see if this level ends up holding as support. Or if we drop below it, it could become a new rejection zone. So far in this open, we're actually chopping around in this range. So haven't given us a clear direction yet. So what I would look for to trade this, you can either trade the edges, like you could have potentially taken a long off of the bottom of this zone, which worked out obviously, but that was early in the open, so I wouldn't have taken it. But if we come up to this previous day high and start to reject and get back into the zone, potentially shorts down to that VWAP area I was saying earlier at 4,500. So let me catch up on questions. Yeah, Leon Lobo Life, I'm happy to do it. I released that levels video and I had a ton of questions. So I was like, you know what? Let me just do it with you guys. It might be boring and a bunch of new people might leave, but I don't care. Instead of me just doing it by myself in my office, might as well talk through it and teach you guys. At the casino late today, huh? Yeah, my schedule's a little bit crazy this week with kids' school events. The light blue VWAP. So the light blue one is anchored at the New York Open at 9:30 a.m. and it kind of just stays on the screen. And then the darker blue one is anchored at the daily open. The gray one is the weekly VWAP. So those are the three that I use on a daily basis. And then I will do like a manually anchored one. The daily, the New York, and the weekly are all on an indicator that I use. But I'll anchor from swing highs and swing lows. That's what this red one is down here. Which time frame do I make my entries and exits? So I use all of them. Like, you were just seeing me go through the time frame level markings. I'll zoom out to like the 1 hour and the 30-minute. When I'm watching price action, I'll usually stay on the 5-minute. But then when it's actually approaching a level, I'll zoom into the 1 minute just to be able to watch volume and price at that level. All right. This is gold on the right. I'll zoom back to be able to see NQ also. Joey. Joey, I didn't realize you changed your name. You are officially the NQ trader. You're not just Joey Morgan. You're Joey Morgan NQ. Yep, my schedule's a little bit crazy this week. Kids have award ceremonies and stuff in the morning. Last week of school. So I was like, let's hop on an Asia stream, see how it goes. Got on a little bit early to show how I do my levels and markups and stuff. And now we wait for hopefully some volatility. So we do have almost our first hour of the open. I'm going to mark a line at the top here. And we'll just call it Asia High. Because now that we're kind of establishing a little bit of a range, we can see which way we head. So as volume starts to pick up, this is an interesting spot here. We're holding our current session VWAP, which I don't hold too much weight on that because it's early in the session. But this over here is where the NQ or the VWAP closed from yesterday's session, previous session. And we're at value area low. So, interesting spot to hold as support potentially. We'll see what happens though. Richard, did you say you changed your levels from earlier today or yesterday's levels? I'm not sure what you're asking, but I just changed them. So when I logged on, I had all of my markings from yesterday. So I deleted everything except the previous week levels. So I mark off previous week, value area high, value area low, and point of control. So I save those and I delete everything else. Because by the end of the session, I have like Asia high, Asia low, London high, London low, 15-minute opening range high and low, 15 initial balance high and low. And maybe I have anchored VWAPs. Like the end of the day, my chart looks a little crazy. So I take all those off and start fresh. Gotta get your pizza out of the oven. Two Talents, wasn't it you this morning talking about how you had to run and go get a muffin too? Does trading make you hungry? That's funny. Someone was asking about when Asia opens. So the Sydney market is 7 o'clock Eastern. So volume usually starts to pick up-ish around that time, around 7. It gets even better sometimes at like 8 Eastern. Kind of depends on the day. If I'm trading Asia, I usually don't even pay much attention until like 7 o'clock. And really my best trades happen at like 8. How did everyone do with their trading today, chat? Tell me how you did. You tried trading ES during Asia. It's like watching paint dry. Yeah. ES, I don't know how anybody makes money during Asia with ES. Unless you're trading like massive size. Because even NQ is normally slow during Asia. I mean, it's not so much today because we have NVIDIA earnings. But I have no patience for that level of slowness. X6 Ron, I usually trade gold in the evenings. But I do love me some NQ. So if there's some good volatility on NQ, I'll take trades during Asia on NQ. I did last night. I didn't actually trade this morning because I was at my kids' awards ceremony. I didn't even watch the market open because the ceremony started right at the open. And even if I wanted to look, I couldn't because it was in the cafeteria, which is like a giant concrete building, and there is no cell phone reception in there. I couldn't even make a call. My mom wanted me to like record it and send her videos of my son walking across the stage, and I was like, sorry, Mom. No cell phone service. Can't do it. So I took trades last night on NQ. I actually posted them in Discord. If you guys didn't see them, I posted a little trade recap. But most of the time, gold during Asia. Not this week, though. I was actually talking to G-Man about that. Gold has kind of been crappy during Asia this week, and NQ's been a lot better. Well, it ended up holding that level. What was it, like 10 minutes ago? I was talking about this value area low and VWAP level. Decent spot there. It's a little bit tougher. Like with my style of trading, I need momentum and volume. Because like liquidity sweeps, for example, needs like an aggressive buy up or a rejection from that specific level. And Asia is just so slow. I'm like, was that a liquidity sweep? I don't know. It's not moving very fast. Let me know if anyone else feels that way. Doesn't quite work the same. People make money with ES during Asia? I don't know. I don't. I don't even watch it. Your dog is barking at my dog barking? That's funny. Well, my dog is barking at a dog walking past our window. Gold isn't doing much yet. Sometimes at the 7 p.m. open, it'll move a little bit, but nope. Just hang in there. I'm going to pull up the ES chart just for funsies. It's pretty much identical to NQ. They look very much the same. Well, I said that nobody can make money on ES during Asia, but it's actually moving pretty nice right now. Baby, it sounds like you trade Asia, I assume. Do you happen to do either the 15-minute orb or initial balance strategies during Asia? All right, I'm curious, you guys, because I've been backtesting this and trying to figure out what is the best initial balance range, like time frame, like when do you start it for your range? Alf Hunkso, you too. What do you mark as your time frame on your range? Because I've heard so many different things on different videos that I've watched. So I've been kind of trying to watch it and backtest it myself. And I'm getting mixed info. You started at 8 p.m. Eastern? Yeah. That's kind of what I've been doing. Marking it from 8 to 9 for the initial balance. I do that on gold too. And that's actually been a really solid range to mark off for like range trades. Like for example, if you mark maybe the 8 p.m. open low, like let's say this on ES on my chart. Let's say this was like the 8 p.m. open low, and now we're getting into the 9 p.m. volatility, or like closer to 9 p.m. If it comes down and sweeps that low and comes back up, that's usually a good long opportunity, or vice versa. So I've kind of been using that 8 to 9 time frame as my initial balance range. Yeah, AVR Dream, that's what I'm talking about. I've been watching a bunch of different streamers and YouTubers and like video content, and then of course backtesting myself, because I'm not going to just blindly listen to other people. But some people say that they do right at the open, the Globex open. I don't find that to be as good. Hector, I usually talk in Eastern time, just because that's kind of the more widely accepted time frame. I know it's confusing because if you're looking at my chart, it's in Central Time because that's where I live, but yeah, I agree, Joey. Honestly, the Globex initial balance usually is tiny. Usually. Today is an exception, for sure. But usually it's so small that, like, if it breaks out of one of those ends of the range, you're like, that's not a big deal, because it was only a 50-point range anyway, which on NQ is like one candle in the New York session. A 1-minute candle. The blue VWAP is anchored at the 6 p.m. open. So this little spot here where it kind of jumps, that's because this part down here is where it closed. That was yesterday's or the previous session daily VWAP close, and then it re-anchors at that 6 p.m. open. So that's the daily VWAP. So we're kind of starting to float around, maybe back up towards the open, today's open. There's my dog again. Whoever in the chat said their dog was barking at my dog. Sorry, Sean. I'm going to pull a fib onto here and just see if we're sitting at the middle of the range. Yeah, kind of chopping around the middle. So the question is, are we going to hold this low and continue back up? Or are we going to get to this middle of the Asia range so far and start to reject? That is the question. VWAP is volume weighted average price. So if you take into account the amount of volume traded at the price, that's basically the average price right now. 29,173 is the average price for the day if you take into account volume and price. So VWAP kind of serves as a magnet. You can either trade it as support and resistance. Like, for example, we're in an uptrend right now. If it comes back down and retests VWAP, you could potentially take a long trade off of it. Or you can do like a mean reversion trade. So like, for example, if you're doing a rejection, like let's say it comes up to this high of day and it rejects from that level and we take a short, I might consider targeting VWAP because that would be an area that it might return to. And then in general, I use VWAP as a bias. Like if it's above VWAP, usually I'm looking for longs. If it's below VWAP, I'm looking for shorts, unless it's a mean reversion trade like I was talking about, like an obvious liquidity sweep or something. You also trade on YouTube but not the PM session? Yeah, I do the New York session throughout the week each morning. I've done maybe, I don't know, 2 other Asia streams. I don't do it very often. It was just kind of a random thing. I have an Asia gold strategy. It's really not just Asia. It's a gold strategy that's quite different from my NQ strategy that I use during the New York session. And I've posted a video on it, but I was like, let's do it live. No pressure though. What if the setup doesn't happen today? Just kidding. Speaking of gold, the excitement has not begun for gold yet. Might be another 45 minutes or so until gold picks up. $220s on NQ is your first target. Where did you get in long? Oh, it spiked after you typed that. Yup, because it already hit that target. Yeah, G-Man, gold is choppy once again. I hope that we get something good with gold tonight. I haven't looked at your bookmap numbers yet. I wonder if there's anything showing up on there yet. What do I like best, gold or a NASDAQ? Ooh. I would say NQ. It's just the one that I learned on. It's the one that I have the most time spent with. I feel like I have a much better read on NQ. I have a love-hate relationship with gold. Like, when gold is good, it's good. When it's clean and it's respecting levels and like it follows my strategy, it's like, it's almost too easy sometimes. I don't want to say that, knock on wood. But like, when it's good, it's good. But when it's choppy, it messes me up. At least I'm getting better at knowing when gold is choppy and I just don't trade it, or maybe I'll take one small loss and walk away. So I have a better read on that. But When I was first learning gold, I would just get eaten up and not know that it was an ugly, choppy day and not know that I need to stay away. Richard King, yes, that's exactly what I do. I stay on the 5-minute, and I'll tell you why. I think it helps me stay more patient. And sometimes I'll even move to the 15-minute if it's like a super choppy day. But I stay on the 5-minute so that I'm not over analyzing every single 1-minute candle. Because, you know, like, let me see. Let's move to the 1-minute. No, not on that one. Here we go. Moving to the 1-minute. Like this candle right here, volume spiked up. It was a super aggressive candle. Like after this chop consolidation right here, it just spiked up. If I was sitting here almost bored, like searching for a trade, and I was on the 1-minute chart, I know my emotions really well. Like I literally would have had a heart rate increase right there. Like, ooh, I want to go long. I want to chase that. But then if I did, I probably would have put my stop loss right here below this consolidation zone and it would have stopped me out. So the 1-minute chart is nasty unless you're like scalping. But when you move to that same chart on the 5-minute, you can see that 5-minute, it doesn't look good. There's a big wick on the top. It rejected right back down to VWAP. And it's really easy to sit out of that trade. So, yeah, I stay on the 5-minute. And then if it's approaching a level and I'm watching for a liquidity sweep or a high volume reaction or whatever, I'll move to the 1-minute. Yeah, moving to the 5-minute was a change that I made early on in trading. I used to overtrade like crazy, you guys, like ridiculous. I think the biggest eye opener. So this was me when I was like way new. I used to journal my trades in a notebook, like just write them down. And then I made a Google spreadsheet. And then eventually, when I actually got my first payout and was like, okay, maybe this thing's actually going to work out, I bought a subscription to TradeZella. And if you guys know TradeZella, you can tag every trade and like make notes on every trade. It's really cool. But the eye opener was uploading all my trades in there and then realizing that I had to tag all of them and add notes on all of them. I was like, holy crap, I'm trading way too many things, way too many trades. And a lot of them were just tiny little in and out trades. Like maybe I got into early and I just took like a break even stop out, and then I re-entered the same idea. I was just like clicking buttons all over the place. And I had already gotten a payout at that point, so like I could trade. I was reading the market well, but I had some work to do. So yeah, that's just a funny story for you guys. I got TradeZella and I realized, holy crap, I have like 21 trades that I have to make notes on and tag. That's way too much work. I need to slow down a little bit. GT Lap, hello from work. Don't get yourself in trouble. Coming down to VWAP. On NQ, let's see if it holds here. $100 a day. That would take a long time to journal all those trades in TradeZella. All right, I'm going to mark off our current high and low for gold. Let's see if either end of this range gets tapped. Two talents? That's a good question. Do you think TradeZella or Edgeful is most helpful for a newest trader? You have a spreadsheet and you only take two to three trades a day. So Edgeful, I think, is I don't know. I love Edgeful a lot. I think if you're more of like a data-driven person, Edgeful and TradeZella are kind of in the data-driven mindset type of thing. But they're different categories. Edgeful just kind of gives you extra confluence for entering a trade. TradeZella, if you like data, then yes. But if you're only taking 2 to 3 trades a day, really, you can build that in your spreadsheet. So what I did, I actually have a Google sheet in our tools and resources section in the Discord. And I actually created it to have data for everything. So I would tag my trades in there. Like I would put my entry, my stop loss, my P&L, and then I would also had a drop down menu for like if this was an initial balance trade or a 15-minute orb trade or a liquidity sweep or whatever. That way you can categorize them and know what your win rate is. So that's what I'm getting at is in TradeZella, it does give you all of that much faster because you can just auto sync all of it and then tag them really quick. So it takes maybe 5 minutes to do it all, especially if you're only doing 2 to 3 trades. And then it gives you reports on what your win rate is per strategy. Also the time. So like it'll tell you your win rate during the New York session is this. Your win rate during power hour is this. So it's really easy to look and be like, oh, I suck during power hour. Maybe I should stop trading. That kind of stuff. So I like it because I'm a very numbers driven person. Am I live during Asia? I am. Doing something a little different tonight. I really like Edgeful for the initial balance. I honestly haven't looked a whole lot into some of the other reports. There's so many. There's tons of information in there. But I use it heavily for the initial balance and I love it. Two talents, if you want to check out the spreadsheet that I made in the tools and resources section, you're welcome to make a copy of that and use it. Or if you want to try out TradeZella, code Krista gives you 20% off. It's a pretty cool tool. All right, so gold is coming down to its current low of day. Watching to see what happens down here. Might consider a long. Let's see. See, this is where the Asia session is a little bit tough. Because it's a little bit slower. Alright, I grabbed along at 38.6. I just realized I don't have my position thing on here. Let me log in. I went in super small on my size. Oh, that's new. It's an interesting update. Trying to get logged in real quick. All right, back in business. Should have gone a little bigger on my size. Oh well. So target wise, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when you guys, if you guys were watching my level markings. This gray zone right here that we're kind of chopping around in, that actually is a high volume node. So it makes sense that we're ranging here. So we'll see which side it breaks out to. If it breaks above the current Asia high, it could go to previous day high, could even go higher. Let's see where the next rejection levels are. I mean, I would say somewhere up here around 45.80-ish maybe. But let's not put the cart before the horse. Still hasn't broken above today's VWAP. The VWAP settings that I have, I think it's OHCL4. Oh, it is 3. I normally have it on 4, but that didn't really change anything. The wing. Yeah, so I just use this indicator, which I know is a paid thing. You have to have edge full, but it's the same thing. This one right here, if I was to turn it on, that line is pretty much in the same spot. So if I turn it on, the settings, this is a free indicator, so you should be able to get this one. OHLC4. Do I use a trade copier? Which one do I recommend? I personally use Trade Syncer. I like it. It's super easy to use. They do have a 7-day trial too. If you put in code Krista, it'll give you a free trial. That way you can test it out. A lot of them you have to like buy a software and download it onto your computer, and I didn't want to deal with that. So Trade Syncer, you don't have to do that. You have a supply and demand zone at 29.50. I don't usually draw them on the 5-minute. I only do it on the higher time frame. Any reason I entered gold and not NQ? Well, gold was just a cleaner, more obvious trade. It came down to this low of day and also the low of this high volume node that I have. And it was a clean bounce. NQ is kind of just chopping around VWAP with not much volume behind it. All right, I'm trailing to below VWAP. And this is getting some volume behind it, so I'll see what happens at this high of day. If it looks like it's going to break through, we could potentially hold up to previous day high. but let's see. Do I ever place limit orders or always market orders? I do sometimes limit orders. It's a much smaller percentage, but sometimes I do. So on my gold strategy that I use, just a quick recap of it. I use fibs plus VWAP. So if the 0.5 and 618 fib line up with VWAP, then I'll take a trade, a pullback continuation at that level. So sometimes I'll place a limit order at that level. Alf Hunkso, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Do I enter my GC trade? Oh, did I enter it on the 5 minute? No. So on this one, I actually zoomed into the 1 minute. So it was approaching this low of day. I knew it was an area that I wanted to watch. So the reason I got in was, you see this 1 minute candle right here. It had an aggressive buy up. So that was my reason for entering. I zoomed into the one minute. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in the tools and resources section. What do I risk? Normally, I do $200 per trade. This one, I think was like $70 per trade for this trade. It entered, it happened so fast. I was on the 1 minute. I didn't like calculate how many contracts I should do. So I just sized down and went in. It's all good. Takes the emotion out of it. You took that trade with 20 micros? Holy crap. That's a lot. All right, trailing a little bit more. It's coming up to that current high of day. Let's see if it breaks through. How do you set the sell stop in TradingView? So if you're actually placing your trades in TradingView, you go over here to stop and then whatever price you want. So if you're in a long, it would be a sell stop. You've never traded gold in your life and you took 20 micros? You're crazy. That's wild stuff right there. So yeah, New Life Pictures first TP could be 45, 48, and then leave a runner potentially to like previous day high or whatever. Yeah, that's probably the smart thing to do. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself that I only took 2 contracts. Normally my size on this would be like 5 or 6. So I would have more to scale out. Five eighths account, I really hope you have taken some off and scaled out of your position a little bit. Well, it looks like it's rejecting. And it didn't even come up to that high of day. I was not logging into AMP. I was logging into Trade of 8. So this is a prop firm account. But I do have a personal account. It's also with Trade of 8. All right, gonna trail to that recent swing low. It's stuck right here. This is our current high for today. Let's see if it breaks through. There we go. Yeah. Nice trade. I appreciate it. Again, annoyed that I didn't take the regular size, but it's alright. It's good. Getting that first trade out of the way. And we do have 13 minutes. Hopefully some more volatility coming. So previous day high is where? 45.57. W's in the chat. Let's go. I know Triple Eight's account, or 5/8's account. I can count, I promise. There's 5/8 right there. He took the trade. Did anyone else tick along on gold? I was mentioning that area as something I was watching. What was my size? I took 2 contracts on it. So, took one off already at the high of day. Gonna leave a runner. Right now I have it set at previous day high, but we'll see how the 8 p.m. open goes. Oh no. 2 micros. You got the wrong channel if you want to see me slinging minis. Nope. That's crazy. Lots of W's. There we go. We got some people who took it. Love it. Why no minis? Too much risk. So I trade 50K prop account, so there's $2,000 in drawdown. And I mean, even if you just do one mini and you have a 25-point stop loss, that's a fourth of your account right there. That's a good answer, Richard King, because I'm smart. I mean, maybe if I was trading 150K accounts or something like that, but it just, the math doesn't make sense with a 50K account. All right, so that was my stop loss on gold, but I'm okay with that. We have the 7 o'clock open coming soon. Oh, sorry, 8 o'clock. So we'll see what we get. Might we see more Krista regularly at this time? Possibly over the summer, because my kid's sports schedule has slowed down. Possibly. That's the main reason that I can't during this school year, because we have swim practice and jiu-jitsu and soccer and basketball. Like, depending on what season it is, I'm all over the place. And then even if, like, my husband is home and he can take the kids to practice, then someone needs to be doing homework with the kids or making dinner or whatever. So it's just a crazy time in the evenings. Over the summer, maybe, though, because I don't have to worry about getting them to bed. Short on NQ? Why? What makes you say that? So for me, what I'm seeing is it's holding above this today's VWAP. It had a good bounce and it held the close of yesterday's daily VWAP. It's sitting above value area low and has held that as support 2 times now. So I don't see any reason for it to go to take a short. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but I'm not seeing it. Richard King, is the Asia level invalidated? What do you mean by that? It's just getting a little pullback here. Doesn't mean that it's like gonna completely reject and go into the dumps. It could pull back to VWAP and move up from there. So I like to use the midpoint of the range as a possible pullback area. So the midpoint of this Asia range so far is right at VWAP. So that'd be an interesting spot to watch here in 5 minutes when this market opens. What is my preferred broker, not prop firm? I'm not a great person to ask because I've really only traded with Trade-of-8. That's who I have my personal prop firm account with too, or my personal account with too. So it's not like I've traded with a bunch of others. I don't know. Can't give you advice there. Yeah, Renzo. So the FMT Academy, there is the wait list going on right now. Next week, I'm actually going to do a training for anyone who's on the wait list. We're going to hop on a Zoom call and just do some training stuff. Basically, it's going to be more one-on-one. There will be some strategy like trade review, trade recaps, so that you can see my trades. Like I'm going to be sharing my trade of the day with you guys, and then you'll have a private thread with me where you can share your trades and I'll give feedback. So some of it will be trade, strategy, etc., but I would say the majority of it is going to be the mental, psychological aspect of it. Because a lot of times in those trade recaps, the real stuff is going to come out. Like, I overtraded here, or this was a revenge trade, or, you know, this was a FOMO trade. And we'll talk about that kind of stuff. So, psychology mixed with strategy, but more one-on-one stuff. Not one-on-one because it's not individual, but it will be in a group environment. We'll have 2 to 3 weekly calls on different topics. And then you'll have your own Discord thread where I'll be responding to your stuff individually. But I'll be releasing more info, so if you guys are curious about it, join the waitlist. Help you get unstupid. Trust me. I was there. And I shouldn't say I was there. There are times when I get stupid too. But I think learning what my triggers are and like learning how to stop it sooner has been the key to me becoming more of a consistent and profitable trader. Because there's definitely still times that I oversize or like take a FOMO trade or do something stupid, but I notice it so much faster and I'll exit the position, log out of my trading screen, and like go take a break. Whereas in the past, that would have been me revenge trading and blowing an account. All right, coming back up towards this Asia high. I don't want to chase along from here. I'd rather have it come down to this VWAP and midpoint of the range level at like 45, 42. Let's see if we get it. NQ's hovering right here at VWAP. Yeah, Sean, that's interesting. I noticed that too. Because I saw the news that earnings were way above projected, and then the market just dumped. Someone said Trump is talking. I don't see that anywhere. Where are you seeing that? When is he not talking? At any moment, he could log into his X account and mess us all up. All right, gold's coming down. Let's see what happens at VWAP here. AVR Dream, thank you. So much for volatility at the 8 p.m. open. Yeah, two talents. I agree with what Sean maybe was saying, was that maybe it was already priced in with the earnings. All right, trying along here. 40.7. I'll put my stop loss right below that wick. or rely heavily on VWAP. I do use it in a lot of my trading. With gold, for sure. And then even with NQ, I would say with NQ, I use it more as a target. Like if I'm taking a liquidity sweep reversal trade, a lot of times I will take my profits at a return to VWAP. Well, it's trying to hold here, but not much volume bringing it anywhere. It's like all the volatility happened right at the 6 p.m. open. And then everyone decided to take the rest of the night off. You didn't notice the time you usually set your orb and your IB? Yeah, but if you do it from 8 o'clock on, it's only 8 minutes in. Unless you just start drawing your lines and adjust them as they move. I usually do it the same way. They should know that we're going live and give me some volume. I know, right? Gotta give us some entertainment value here. So looking left, this right here, I'll draw a line to make it easier to see. This is our current high for the Asia session. So we can watch for the reaction there for profit taking. We also have these wicks to the left, which I think is our previous New York session high. Nope. What time is this at? This wick up here is our previous day high, and that was our New York session high. So that would be an ideal target up there. Yeah, Sean. So NQ, it makes sense that the point of control is right where it's at. Honestly, the range for the last hour and a half has been nothing. So yeah, I haven't even drawn it, but I'm guessing the point of control is like right there. Let's see. I want to draw it now just to see how accurate I was. Oh, I was off by a little bit. But yeah. So if you're a range trader, you're probably eating this up. You can scalp this like crazy. $45.60. That's right up here at previous day high. Let's go. Giving me some hope, G-Man. With the mentorship, there will be options. ZS Cows Croft. Well, NQ held that VWAP level and point of control, getting a decent little move off of it. It is sitting right at value area high though. So let's see if it breaks above it. Looks like it wants to. G-Man, did you take a long too? So I was explaining the whole reason why I stay off the 1 minute chart. Look at this 1 minute on NQ right now. That's ugly. I need to get back to the 5 minute. Even the 5 minute, geez, NQ has gone nowhere. Of course, the one Asia stream I choose, it's not that great of price action. Yesterday would have been perfect, but I was trading at swim lessons, so I couldn't live stream from swim. Or not swim lessons, swim team practice. Oh my goodness. Can you guys hear my dogs? They're wrestling in the background. It rained all day today, so they're a little bit crazy right now. Okay, that was nice. So this line right here, that is our 15-minute orb high. I don't really trade the orb on the gold open, but just kind of showing the shift in momentum there. Oh, Artist Deluxe, happy birthday to your mom. You guys going out to dinner or anything fun? Why don't you like to trade orb on gold open? It's not that I don't like it. I just don't. It's not a strategy that I really have like paid much attention to. I think there's probably a couple reasons to it. One, it's very rare that I'm like sitting at my computer at the APM open. So I usually kind of just come in and check the charts when I have time in between kids stuff, and I'll watch for a trend and do my fib plus VWAP strategy. So that's probably more of what it is. Coming back down. I should have taken some profits on that big move up. Just taken a couple of contracts off, but it's all right. Honestly, during the Asia session, I kind of just take what I can get. Like, I don't expect to hit my daily profit targets on gold during Asia. If I can make a couple $100, I'm happy with that. Yeah, G-Man, no doubt hit your trail. That was a big drop. I can see gold ruining lives. It's not normally this bad. But honestly, look at NQ too. It's not that much better tonight. It's ugly right now. And unless you're a range trader and you're trading this session volume profile right here. Just take a short off of this value area high. Man, that was a nice pullback to VWAP and then bounce. See if it holds right here. It is very wiki. I'm gonna try it again. Sizing less risk than normal. Stop loss below that wick down there. See if it does hold this VWAP level. Not looking great for it to hold. All right, stomp me out. You're retiring from gold? You might still be having a heart attack from that 20 contract trade that you took. There is nothing on NQ. Look at that hot mess. So this is the bottom of our VWAP band extension. It's also sitting right around the 618 of our like opening range. You're welcome, Richard King. Glad you learned something. Does it have anything to do with NVIDIA earnings? Possibly. I mean, the open today, the market open was very volatile. I can remove this so you can actually see it. But that was the 6 p.m. open right there. That drop is pretty aggressive for an Asia open. But after that first 10 minutes or so, it hasn't really done much. Gold has been moody. Yeah. Wonder if it's trying to hold this. Oh my gosh. Held the VWAP band and just exploded. Man. Yeah, I did have two good long trades. That one, did not see that one come in. Gold has been tough today because it kind of just, it just goes. Like, if you watch, I mean, you know how I trade, G-Man. Like, I normally watch volume and confirmation and stuff. This candle right here was kind of the turning point at 827. But look at volume. Volume was not there. The volume was on the next one, and that wasn't even a lot of volume for how big that candle was. It's tricky right now. Just gotta laugh right now. Only degenerates trade gold. Should I raise my hand on that? I don't know. I like trading gold. On the gold trade I took earlier, where was my initial stop? So I took three trades. Are you talking about number 1, 2, or 3? So on the first one, I put it right at the Asia low. Because I got in, like if you're looking at the 1 minute candle, I got in on this aggressive 1 minute candle right there. And I put the stop loss right below it at 45.35.3. Yeah, G-Man, I see what you're saying with the wicks on the 5 minute holding VWAP, but it's not going anywhere. Like, what are we going to do? Take a trade back up to this range high? That's a 20-point trade. Unless you're banking on the fact that this is an accumulation that's just going to explode to the upside. Maybe. Gold isn't respecting any levels right now. Nope. NQ has been chopping around the middle of our Asia range for an hour. 2 hours. My cursor is 2 hours ago. And this is the midpoint right here. That's the 0.5. That is a nice little support spot right there. I agree that NQ is holding this level and it looks good. I just don't like that it's not going anywhere. The risk to reward isn't there for me. It's like if I'm going to get in a trade, I want to be able to see that my target is further than 20 points away. G-Man long on NQ. Cool. Hopefully we get some movement for you. We got 23 minutes until that 9 p.m. mark. See if we get a little extra added volatility. NQ's moving up a little bit. G-Man, you might be like 3 points in profit. Slowly but surely. Oh, there we go. I'm watching gold. I kind of want to take a long on gold. See if it holds this VWAP here. Come on, gold. Let's get some movement. See how this 1 minute candle closes. See if it looks strong. Nope. I might have picked the slowest day to live stream Asia. If we don't get a quick increase in volume at 9 p.m., then I'll probably call it. Because normally at 8 p.m. something happens. We got very little. Oh yeah, just checking comments. Ravi. Krista, that's my name. G-Man, are those bookmap orders at 45.60 still there? Charles was in the chat. Thanks for dropping by, friend. If you are heading out, have a good night. Well, I do like that gold is holding VWAP. What I don't like is there's no volume and it's not going anywhere. So, same thing I was saying with NQ. Even if I did take a long off of this VWAP bounce, I mean, it might just stop right here at that little range that we're in. I guess I could size up. It could be my first gold mini trade. That'd be the only way you would make very much money on a trade like that. All right, 14 minutes. Hopefully we get something at that time. Oh, 5-minute candle closure above value area high. Oh, just barely. Just barely. You're counting pennies here, D-Man. We gotta roll the tape for this one. Alright, here is value area high. That line right there. Yeah, technically closed above. We had to call the refs in for a replay on that one. Yeah, I like gold holding VWAP too. I think the thing that gives me pause is the fact that potentially more volatility coming at 9 o'clock. And we might not... I mean, if I had entered right at VWAP, it would be far enough away I could move to break even. But, like, if I enter now, we still could get that volatility and it would potentially spike down to my stop loss. So, I don't know. Don't know if the risk is worth it. $29 290s. Yeah, that actually lines up with a couple of areas of resistance that I have too. I mean, we have our high of day. Asia high is sitting at 280. And then previous week point of control and previous New York session point of control is sitting right at 309. So I agree. If I was in a long, that would definitely be a good area for a target. Alpha Hung So, the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, all of them on gold look like a barcode. You could even go to the 30 and say the same thing. JC talking about gold moving at 9:30 Eastern and then 10:30. Honestly, it depends on the day. Like, sometimes really good movements are at like 7 o'clock Eastern. Sometimes it's 8 o'clock Eastern. I try not to look at the charts really until like 8 or 9. So there's times that I come look and I'm like, dang, all the good stuff happened an hour ago. So what I do now is I set alerts for specific levels or areas of interest that I'm watching. Kind of a range from where price is currently at, like at the close. So maybe I'll set an alert at a level above and a level below, just areas that I'm interested in. And if it goes off, then I'll come back and look. But that way I can go about my day and not miss it potentially. Love karma, you just made my day. That is hilarious. Well, I hope it was everything you hoped for. Hopefully you learned something good and it was worth it. If you have any questions or anything you want me to like redo or expand on, I'm happy to. But that is hilarious. First code, I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, we're getting a little bit of movement. You know, I've been sitting here too long, bored by this price action when I'm excited about that candle right there. Oh my goodness. G-Man, are you still in your NQ long? I feel like you've been in this trade for like an hour. I think you got in somewhere around point of control and VWAP, so I'm guessing you were here, maybe? So you're like 30 points in profit an hour later? Not a bad hourly wage, I guess. Making a little bit of side money. I'm just making funny jokes about this low price action. Okay, so confession, while we're on the topic of confession, love karma. One of the reasons I don't trade Asia Stream is definitely my kids' crazy schedule. But another reason is this crap. It's so slow sometimes. And you never know. Like yesterday, if I streamed, I would have been taking some banger trades with you guys because I made a lot of money in yesterday's Asia session. But then as soon as I click that button and say I'm going live, this happens, right? So then I'm just sitting here like, what should we talk about? Because I'm not going to just take random trades and blow my account for entertainment value. I mean, that would be funny. Maybe I should go get some, like, $19 Bullinox evals and just trade them for the fun of it. But, yeah. Not seeing any trades I like. You tried Code Krista for the Apex evals, but it doesn't like you? No, so I got kicked out of Apex. I had an Apex code for a couple months because someone in our group Discord asked me for it. But I was always very transparent with everyone. I was like, I don't personally trade Apex. I don't really like it. So I'm not going to like recommend it to you guys. But sure, if you want to use my code and support the channel, go for it. And I guess I wasn't selling enough evals with them. I wasn't promoting it enough. So they sent me an email saying that they removed my affiliate permissions. It didn't hurt my feelings. I have never traded with them, and I don't really plan to. Thanks for trying, though, Mark. I appreciate the support. Could I make an assessment on volume and take it from there? Yeah. Just sometimes it's random, you know, like it'll be all of a sudden it starts good volatility at 7 p.m. So I would just have to be like by my computer ready to go live. Yeah, the Asia session is just hard. What prop firm do I like? So, Tradeify and Lucid are my top two favorites for sure. I like the Tradeify select accounts. And then once you pass, you can choose the flex or the daily option. I like the daily option. And then Lucid, I think the Pro and the Flex are both good accounts. I like both of them. Maybe like Flex a little bit more just because they're a little bit cheaper. So the ROI on them is good. I always look at the return on investment. Like how much does the eval cost versus what's the max payout? So the Flex and the Pro are both the same max payout. And Flex is a little bit cheaper. So maybe like Flex a little bit more. Outside of those two prop firms, I like Alpha Futures a lot, especially their new premium accounts they just launched. They're really good. If you guys were Top Step fans before they kind of shot themselves in the foot and fell apart, the Alpha Futures premium accounts are pretty much what the Top Step ones were before they fell apart. They also are running a 50% off sale right now. So if you guys are looking to load up on some new prop firm accounts, go check out Alpha Futures. Use code Krista, by the way. But 50% off. So if you get their 50K account, the Premier, did I say premium? Premier. Is it Premier or premium? Now I gotta go check because they just released it. But it's like $79 for a 50K account. Premium. They're premium accounts. And then the last one that I would say is Trade Day. I really like Trade Day for daily payouts. I would not recommend them if you're a beginner because their eval is a little bit harder to pass. But once you pass the eval on Trade Day, it's a really good account for daily payouts. Sorry, I know that was a long answer. Hector, yes. To answer your question, Lucid and Tradeify both. That's actually why I think I mean, for lots of reasons, they're my favorites, but they definitely take my first place favorites because they don't have a monthly subscription. So pretty much every prop firm, if you don't pass the eval within the first 30 days, they charge you. Lucid and Tradify, they don't. Is there any prop firm without trailing drawdown? So are you talking about like a static account? Trade Day has a static drawdown account. But no, most of them have either end of day or intraday trailing drawdown. All right, there's our 9 p.m. volatility. Let's see if it respects any of these levels. It is coming down to the bottom VWAP band here. Let's see if it holds this level here at like 45.40-ish. All right, I'm going long there. 46.3 is where I got in. I need to move over to the other screen. I didn't realize I didn't have my position on. Don't be choppy, gold. Come on. This price action sucks right now. Still looking like it wants to go up. Watching to see if it holds this view up here at 44.6 or 44 in general. Tricky spot here. We got a couple people in the chat short. I'm actually looking for a long if it holds here. But staying patient. All right, giving it a shot. All right, it broke our current, like our 8 p.m. high, or 9 p.m. This up here is our high of tonight at 45.55. Let's see if it gets up there. Really, I would like to see previous day high hit. That's kind of what I'm going for. 45.57-ish. But try not to be too greedy, because this has been choppy all night and I keep getting stopped with my trailing stop loss. Hector, I saw your question about prop firms. Let me reread it. So if you make $10,000 for the week in one account, can you withdraw $10,000 at the end of the week? No. So prop firms, they all have different rules. But in general, a lot of them, they have a minimum amount of trading days. So like you have to have 5 green days before you can withdraw. And or they'll have some sort of minimum minimum buffer requirement. Like you can withdraw anything over, hold on, I'm going to take 2 of these off. I just closed out half of my position and then I'll keep 2 going. Like for example, if you have a $50,000 profit prop firm account, a lot of times they make you keep a $2,000 buffer in there, and then you can take out anything over the buffer, or maybe they only allow you to take out 50% of your profits, which is just another way of making you have a buffer in the account. So like I said, every prop firm has different rules, but they all kind of have the same thing where they want you to be consistent and they want you to keep some sort of buffer in the account. That way you're not just having a really good trading week and then wiping out the account, because then you're not going to be trading with them anymore. You'll probably fail at that point. NQ at price discovery. Yeah, NQ is just off the chart. So this is our current high of tonight, 28,290. So that could be a spot for a potential pullback, but the bigger resistance I would be watching if I was in a long on NQ is this point of control area at like 29,300-ish. But I'm not in an NQ long, so do whatever you want. All right. Well, we are above previous day high. We are above our previous week's VWAP close. Let's see how these candles close. And then we can start looking at next area of rejection. $45.66, I think, is what I would be looking at. Just on the hourly chart, that was a spot where we had a pretty big drop. I already took off half of my position though, so this is kind of just the runner to see how it goes. If you pass the 5 days of trading and the 5 payouts, Hector, so if you have 5 payouts from the same account, you probably would get moved to a live account. And then again, every prop firm has different rules for their live accounts, but most of them also require you to keep some sort of buffer in the account. But a lot of them move to a daily payout. Like if you make $5,000, you can withdraw $5,000. When did I start trading? In September of 2024. So a little over a year and a half. Oh, G-Man, approaching your point of control target. Man, I'm curious how many contracts you entered with, because that is turning out to be a beautiful trade. I don't know exactly where you got in, but somewhere around VWAP and point of control. You're up like 100 points on your runners so far. I know you said you took profit on some. Good trade for you too, friend. That's awesome. Well, on Bookmap, G-Man, it grabbed those orders at 45.60, and it's still going. Is there anything more up above? The momentum is slowing down. All right, Wooly B, thanks for joining. Yeah, I took a couple good trades today. So that first one, it was a long off of the low of the day, and I took it up to the, at that time, the high of the day. These ones took a couple of break-even trades, took a loss, and then this one working out nicely so far. Up pretty good on the day. All right, Sean, have a good night. Yeah, I'm going to see how this trade plays out. Either hit my trailing stop loss or hit my profit target, but I'll call it after this one. How do you take partials? So if you're in TradingView or Trade of 8, so where do you place your trades? TradingView or Trade of 8? Or something else? I guess you could have a different answer. Yeah, NQ is definitely losing steam. Gold looks like it is too. So if you're placing trades in TradingView, you just go over here to, like, if you want to do a market order, you can just type in 1, and then, like, if I'm in a long and I want to sell 1, you sell right now. Like, that would take one of my 2 contracts off. But then this sell stop would still say 2, so you would have to adjust that manually to say 1. And then if you want to do a limit, same thing. You just place your line on the chart wherever you want your limit order to happen for a partial. And that'll take partials off of your position. So what I did is I originally had 4 contracts on it. I sold 2, but my stop loss still said 4, so I had to change that to be 2. Hopefully that answers your question. Will I be trading tomorrow morning? No. I have one more event with my kids tomorrow morning. So I had 2 different award ceremonies to go to. And then tomorrow I have an elementary graduate. So we're doing a little graduation walk celebration for them tomorrow morning. It's their last day of school. But then after that, school's out for the summer. So I'll be back Friday morning for a live stream. So do I normally do market sell? Actually, no. I normally do limit orders for my partials because I'm normally taking them at a specific key level. Today I did a market order just because it moved up so fast and we've had such a choppy day that I didn't want it to like reject quickly and come back into this choppy range and then I get stopped out at break even. Or have it hit my trailing stop loss without taking some partials. So I did that one as a market order quickly. But no, normally it's a limit order for my partials because I want to take them at a specific level. Yeah, you guys, if you're new, I don't normally trade the Asia streams. But when I do, I take awesome trades. Just kidding. I normally trade the New York session. So come join me live at the 9:30 open. So hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified when I do go live. You were on TradingView and the charts weren't moving? I don't know. Do you not have your live data turned on? I mean, it should be moving even if you don't have it on live data. Did I use the volume bar as confluence on the last entry? No. So let me go back to where I entered. So this is the candle that I entered on right here. It wasn't volume because if you look at volume down here, it did not spike until way up here and I was already in the position. So I got in on this candle. So here was the reasoning for it. Honestly, this isn't like a clean setup that I can teach. It was just a hunch and my learned ability to read gold at this point. Just based on the chart and the way the candles were moving. So this was the opening candle right here. And it came down and it held this VWAP band and aggressively bought back up and it made a new high. So because of that, like a new high, not for the day, but in that open, the 9 p.m. open. So because of that, I was looking for longs. So when it came back here to VWAP and we had a wick on that candle and then that candle was also holding, that's what made me want to go long. Because we weren't continuing down. So I was looking for longs and the risk to reward was good if I put my stop loss below that wick right there. Love Karma, new channel member, welcome. Thank you, I appreciate the support. Oh yeah, Sean Naps, good call. Your chart's not moving, it's probably set on regular trading hours. I didn't even think about that. The volume indicator that I had on the side when I was drawing my levels in the very beginning is called the Visible Range Volume Profile, so VRVP. If you look in your indicators and just type in Visible Range Volume Profile, it's that one right there. ABC, if you are not sure how to change it to electronic trading hours, you right click on your screen and go to settings. And then if you go to canvas, I believe, hold on, I gotta find it. Symbol, it's under symbol. Session, make sure it doesn't say electronic, or make sure it's on electronic and not regular. So regular trading hours would be just the New York session, and that's not going on right now. Oh, you know what? Whoever in the chat said that, Sean, I didn't know that. I just did the long version by going into my settings. I didn't know you could go right down here in the bottom right corner and click RTH or ETH. Good to know about that little shortcut. Thank you for sharing. Karma for making the kids Uber earlier. Oh man, you're cracking me up. Good trade, G-Man. How long have I been trading? September of 2024, so a year and a half, a little over. Gold is still going. It's off my chart at this point. Gotta pay attention. So at this point, I'm just going to keep trailing my stop loss and get what I can out of this. Can't micro scalp on Tradeify. Yeah, there's, I would say, a decent amount of prop firms that don't allow micro scalping. I've never really paid attention to that rule because it doesn't apply to me. Like when they say you have to hold all of, like, at least 50% of your trades over 10 seconds or longer or whatever, I'm always like, oh yeah, my trades are like 5 minutes and longer. So I never even pay attention to that rule. So to be honest, I don't know which prop firms allow it and which ones don't. Which broker am I using? I am placing my trades in Trade of 8. But there are prop firm trades. It's a sim funded account. Momentum is slowing down a little bit, so again, I'm just going to keep trailing my stop loss. I have a home run target up here at 45.86-ish, but we will see. Crazy higher time frame target way up here at like 46.50, but I'm not going to even aim for that one. That's way up there. Oh yeah, G-Man. I forget to do that every time using that calendar. I always scroll. And then after like the 17th scroll, I'm like, dang it, I should have used that calendar thing. Alright, there's my stop loss, you guys. I'm out. When did you buy your first funded and how long did it take you to get evaluated? So I bought my first prop firm like 2 weeks after I started trading. I don't necessarily recommend people do that. I just knew for me that I was going to learn faster if I actually had some skin in the game. And I was okay with risking the $50 it took to buy the eval. So yeah, not long. Which account am I trading from which prop firm? So I currently have Lucid Flex accounts, Tradeify Select daily accounts, and then I'm also trading my Alpha Premium accounts, Alpha Futures. Before September 24, how long had you been learning trading materials? I didn't. That's when I started like consuming information and trading. Yeah, I kind of jumped in all at the same time. NQ's coming up to that 29,300 level. Dang, NQ is really bullish. Like, what the heck? I haven't checked Financial Juice. What is going on? Nothing notable. It's just doing its thing. Oh yeah, Lucid's one of my favorites. Hypic Witch TV. Absolutely. Lucid and Tradeify are the two that I recommend everyone. Any similar accounts to Lucid Flex? Actually, yes. The Alpha, the new accounts with Alpha, the premium ones, are very similar to Lucid Flex. So it's a 2-day pass on the eval, and then 5 minimum green trading days, and you can take up to 50% of the profits. So nearly identical to the Flex accounts. There's a part of me that wants to short from that 29,300 level, but NQ's been so bullish, and I should probably take my profits and run. What is a Lucid direct account? That is a straight to funded, instant funded, whatever you want to call it. So basically you don't have to trade, you don't have to pass an eval. You go straight to a funded account. They do have stricter rules. So usually you have to have a 20% consistency on it. And I mean, obviously they have stricter rules because you don't have to pass an eval. So you have to prove that you're a good, consistent trader in the actual funded stage. So they are more expensive because you don't have to pass the eval. But if you're a good, consistent trader, that's a good way to go. I personally normally do the eval to the funded because I like having more flexibility in the actual funded account. And it's cheaper. I like the cheaper accounts. But direct is definitely good. Oh, nice, G-Man. You just got the Alpha Premium. Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier, but Alpha Futures right now has a 50% off flash sale going on right now. So, really, really good deal. Their accounts are fairly priced anyway, so 50% off is like, whoa, definitely load up. Lucid has a flash sale going on right now too, where your first 2 accounts with them are 50% off. Alpha Futures, it's unlimited. You can buy as many as you want for the next probably 24 more hours. I think yesterday is when they released it, and it was a 48-hour sale. Yeah, I do like the funded futures flex accounts, funded next futures. I do, and they have a good sale going on right now too. The only downside to them is their max payout per account is lower than a lot of the other ones. With the funded next futures, the 50K account, for example, which is the one that I trade, is a $1,500 max payout per account. Lucid Flex is $2,000, and the Alpha Premium is $3,000. So funded next is the lowest of all of them. Uh-oh. Hypowitch, you're asking me what an eval is, but you got an Apex account for 24 bucks. You should probably go read up on the rules and make sure you know what you're trading. Especially if you got Apex, because they have the most complicated rules out of anyone. So you can't just like buy the account and trade. They have very specific rules. Well, I never really got a chance to show you guys my fib plus VWAP strategy because it kind of just went. But let's take a look and see. So what I do is throw on a fib on the recent trend, and then I see if VWAP lines up with the 0.5 and the 618. But obviously we haven't quite started pulling back yet, so this could keep moving up if the trend continues higher. But right now I don't see, like, this VWAP is way down here at the 0.7. I would like it more if it was up towards the 0.5 and 618. So not really any trade setups on gold there. You have Take Profit Trader? I don't like Take Profit Trader. Couple reasons. The main thing I think is their customer service sucks. Like if you actually have a question, you're gonna not get a reply for like 2 days. But I also really do not like intraday trailing drawdown. So I don't like that the eval is end of day, and then all of a sudden once you get to the funded stage, they turn it into an intraday until you hit the buffer. I think that's a rule that's put there to like make it harder for you to actually get to the payout stage. So it's kind of a gotcha. So that's why I prefer trade day better, because they have nearly an identical setup where it's a 5-day to pass eval. And then you have the $2,000 buffer you have to trade to, and then you can take out any daily payouts above the buffer. So same thing, but it stays end of day drawdown the whole time instead of switching over to intraday. So that's my take if you're asking my thoughts. Do I always use 3 VWAPs? So during the Asia session when I'm trading gold, I use the VWAP bands. So the blue line is actual VWAP, and then the grays above and below are the standard deviation bands. During the New York session, I don't use that one. I actually use the New York anchored VWAP, the daily VWAP, and the weekly VWAP. So yes, always 3 VWAPs, but different ones at different times. Alright, gang. I think I'm going to hop off. I'm not really seeing any chances for a pullback at this point. And took a couple good trades. I'll take my green and run away with it. Thanks for joining tonight, you guys. If you haven't already, hit that like button on the way out. If you guys are new, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I go live in the future. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. It was fun. Have a good one, guys. See ya.